Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Board of County Commissioners, March 21, 2024, 9:30 a.m., Ernie Lee McGaha Government Building. Please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or off setting. Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. The speaker will be limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairperson. To allow sufficient time for all speakers, please refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protest, or any other conduct which interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Upon completion of the public comment period, discussion will be limited to board members and questions raised by the board. Invocation, Commissioner Kohler, you have a guest here today?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Pastor Murray, if you'd like to do the invocation from Myrtle Grove Baptist, we appreciate you coming on short notice. Thank you so much, sir. Please stand.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let's pray together. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come humbly before you today, and we thank you for the day that you have made. Thank you for the life and the breath in our lungs. Lord, you hold all things together in Christ. You are the lawgiver and the judge of the universe, including every one of us gathered here today. So remind us that we will stand and give an account for the things that we say and do even today, and every word and thought will be brought under judgment. You are worthy of the attention and devotion of our hearts today, Lord. And Lord, we confess our great need for you. We are lost and hopeless without you. Lord, we admit the pride that fools us to believe that we have all of the insight and the awareness and the answers to solve the problems that we face. Lord, you alone are the answer. Thank you for the promise of forgiveness and cleansing when we come to you and confess, offered through the blood that was shed for us on Calvary's cross. Thank you for letting us live in this beautiful place and enjoy these freedoms, even to have the freedom to assemble in this place and discuss these matters of importance to our country and our community with civility is a blessing from you and a privilege. Help us remember that we are stewards of these gifts and that they were given to us by you, and that they can be taken away when we forget the source of our blessings. Lord, go with us now. Show your favor to this assembly, and we pray it all in the name of Jesus, our Savior. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Pastor. Items to be added to the agenda, Madam Council.
No, sir.
Commissioner May?
No, sir, I don't think I have any, Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman.
Cole? All right. I have none to be added now. They've been added. Wes? None. Entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So moved, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Thank you. Please vote. Agenda passes 3-0. And just for housekeeping, Commissioner Burgash has a responsibility out of town, so he will not be with us today. So it will just be the three of us conducting business. Commissioners Forum, Commissioner May?
So that means we'll get out pretty early? Mr.
Ideally,
Chairman?
yes, sir. Although we have a lot of people in the room, but we'll see.
Well, let's do 3 more often if we get out quicker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly want to send my condolences to many of us know Cadillac Banks. His grandson was killed last week in Marina Court, and to the family of Remington. It's a sad day in our community when a 13-year-old who's now 14, commits an act of violence against a 15-year-old. And we're out there with area housing, and I want to thank Rodney Jones, Ellison Bennett, Jerry McIntosh, many other leaders, Pastor Hardeman, and Pastor Lonnie Wesley, and Pastor Marcel Davis, who, when I got the call, and the unfortunate thing, Mr. Chairman, I knew all 3 of the victims that were involved, and I know them well, and to have to go out and to see the traumatic impact that happened to those residents, particularly those younger children. I do want to thank our social workers and our grief counselors, all who are able to come out to Gonzales Court to work with those young children and with adults as well as to our school board, to our superintendent for making counselors available to the young people in Gonzales Court to give them counseling. Gun violence is still very prevalent, particularly in urban cores and inner cities, in neighborhoods of color, and we're just a microcosm, and what a sad week for Pensacola. to lose yet another life to senseless acts of violence. And we want to continue to put together all of our programs, and that's why our intern program, our summer program, our community center programs, our prevention programs are very important to try to prevent this type of delinquency that continues to plague our community. And so we want to stand with that family and stand with that community as we know that next week we'll be laying Mr. Banks to rest. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me a few extra seconds on that. That was something that was very near and dear to our heart. And I do want to thank some of our staff and our human services for being available and trying to assist with programmatic things for those young people in that neighborhood. Thank you.
Absolutely, Commissioner. Commissioner Kohler?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman, and sorry about that, Lumen. That was devastating for our community. Last Friday, I just want to mention a few things. I got 5 things I want to mention here. Furball, if you didn't know, a couple years ago, the Humane Society had a little bit of bad press, but they've turned the corner. Deborah Dunlap, the new CEO out there, they raised about $70,000, and it looks like they're doing some great things. So I want to just say good job for them. And yesterday at the Pensacola-Perdido Bay Estuary Program, I think this is important for the community to know. The U.S. Senate passed basically the National Estuary Program. This hasn't been done for 30 years. And Matt Posner and Grover and actually Robert Bender and the board have a big impact on that. That would bring about $750,000 if it gets through the House, which it looks like it has a good chance and the president signs it. For us to have our estuaries from a federal level would bring in a lot more grants. So that's a great accomplishment if we get to the finish line on that, and I hope we do. Public service notice, Navy Point boat ramp will be closed for repaving from April 1st to the 5th. I want to thank Ocean Hour. If you don't know them, they go out every weekend or a couple weekends a month, and they pick up garbage that very few of our citizens don't put in trash cans. So I work with them about once a quarter. On March 30th, they'll be out at Lexington Terrace picking up trash again. So if you want to join us or anyone in District 2, come on out. And since we won't meet again before Easter, me being a person of faith and millions of people in our country, I want everyone to have a happy Easter, and He is risen.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Commissioner May, that's just, I had no idea there was a relationship with Mr. Banks, and that's just adds on to the tragedy. I'm very sorry to hear that. Want to thank the PTA from Melita Park Elementary. Took the kids out there Friday evening for their spring carnival, and Jack and Sloan got to be taste testers for the dessert contest again, and they took part, had some of all the dessert and some of multiple pieces of a number of them as well before deciding on some winners. Needed some a little bit of extra time to taste. So that was, we had a lot of fun out there even with the rain on Friday evening. And then I want to thank Mike Rhodes, working with all the county parks and rec department. It's been baseball and softball opening days recently. And we had NEP where Jack is playing T-ball, so I didn't get to go to some of them a couple weeks ago, but this past Saturday was opening day at Bradbury in Walnut Hill, and made it up there and had a lovely time. And what was great to see, Lumen and I was talking to some of the people from the board while I was, standing there kind of watching the games, watching the kids play, is all the activity that's taking place with rec leagues. And it's not just there, it's in all the parks. And, especially with the way that costs have inflated over the last 10 or 12 years, we would, if the county had not gotten involved and taken some of the responsibilities from those youth associations, registration fees would not be attainable for many, if not the majority of our citizens. And that's one reason there's so much participation in rec ball, and it's great to see. We have thousands and thousands of girls and boys playing, baseball, t-ball, and softball right now. So that's great to see every spring, and I think some of that is due to the actions that this board took a number of years ago. But I want to thank Mike for working with those folks at Bradbury, getting them up and running, and also some good news out of Mike's department. So we've hosted SEC women's soccer the last couple of that Halloween, late October, early November season. And what we hope by doing that is that you build relationships, and you have teams and administrators and league officials as well have good experiences when they're here, and I think that's happening. I think they're having good experiences, and I think they're having good visits and hopefully positive interactions with with county and Pensacola Sports Association leadership. That's resulted in, we're going to have a round robin tournament on Saturday, April 6th, with University of Florida, LSU, and Mississippi State. Those 3 soccer teams are going to come in and play a round robin day, basically a full day of activities at Ashton Brossenham starting at 1:30. All 3 of the teams are going to do they're going to do autograph sessions for youngsters or for anyone, and then they're going to play a round robin soccer match that day, finishing with a kind of a championship, beginning the first game at 2:30 that day, and then playing a game at 6:30 that evening. So I want to thank the SEC and certainly the leadership from those 3 universities for coming and making a full day of it in the spring for just kind of a exhibition round robin. And it's a big deal. As a University of Florida fan, they have not made the soccer tournament the last couple of years, so we have not gotten to see them play in the fall.
Right.
So that's exciting just in and of itself. But that's I think it's indicative of the experience that our partners are having. We're not long since the Sun Belt tournament ended, and we hope we certainly hope to extend that agreement with Sun Belt, maybe even enhance our relationship with the conference to to maybe include other things, and I think those are the things that we want to see coming from these partnerships is not just maintaining what they're doing, but maybe even trying to grow what they're doing here. Those are big deals.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
did you say that Jack plays at NEP?
Jack is playing T-ball at NEP. Yep. It's an exhibition of elite baseball 4-year-olds, and it's quite the view. It's a scrum for the ball when it's hit. Everybody just converges to wherever the ball went, and it's.
I coach instructional. I coach instructional league basketball, kindergarten through second. Yeah, but just tell Jack I'm glad he's coming to District 3.
That's
He's
right.
not far in District 3, but NEP is in District 3.
That's right.
And so,
Absolutely.
and Stephen, to add to that, the great work that they are doing, and I am glad that Jack's in District 3. The countless amount of hours. I did a presentation, and I see the future mayor here, but we did a presentation at City Hall about the thousands of volunteers and the hours that these guys give, whether it's soccer, baseball, football, basketball. No municipality could provide those resources for the amount of hours. That guys are giving 5 days a week. And on Saturdays, if you do Little League football, you're there at 6 in the morning to at night. And unfortunately, oftentimes those people who are being compensated to provide youth development in the Linksy program, they're not the ones that are volunteering. And these guys are out there creating passion and just bringing thousands and thousands and thousands of kids. The city has a thing said it starts in the park. And so I was glad when you and I brought forth and got support of our colleagues to enhance and put money in the parks so more money could go directly to those services. And the other thing you brought up, soccer, and I'm not really a huge soccer fan just because I don't understand it, but I've learned basketball. I do want to thank Mike Capps, Ray Palmer, Darren. What a sensational job, Mike, you and your team did at the Sun Belt. Unfailing people who I've met, who I've known many years, who have coached Cliff Ellis, Joe Godfrey. All these guys are coaching legends who came down and just conversations afterwards said this is the best experience that they've had. So we appreciate what you guys have done, and the fan experience was great this year for basketball. So Mike, Darren, Ray, please convey to your staff what a great job they did for the Sun Belt. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't see Mike having slipped in. Yeah, the hospitality was fantastic, and it's also nice to talk to some of the guests that are here from other universities. Not that are either parents traveling or administrators from the other universities, just about their experience. And I got some very good and some very candid feedback from a couple guests from from universities that were here playing, and it's I think it's indicative of why we have an ability to extend and expand that relationship, and that's certainly what we hope. But thank y'all for being here.
And Steve,
yeah.
I should give a shout out to Janelle Jones. Her dad is Steve Williams. Her granddad is Steve Williams, who they named the gym after. But Janelle's played for me since she was 4 or 5, and had the opportunity to personally coach her. But to see her playing for South Alabama at the Bay Center at home, what a great homecoming, and the ROI pays off when we invest in our young people in our community center. So it was great to have Janelle and her family back playing at the Bay Center.
Absolutely. And board, we also have some guests I want to recognize. We have the Argentinian and Chilean youth ambassadors with the Gulf Coast Diplomacy Council that are here. I want to thank Eden Davenport for kind of walking them over and bringing some guests to take part in the board meeting with us today. There's a couple that are going to speak to us real quick, if we might entertain those. Teresa and Maria, if y'all might make your way forward. And whoever would like to go first. Please, you have the podium.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
We are Teresa Musi from Argentina, and she is Maria Jose Consue from Chile.
Okay.
And we are part of Youth Ambassador Program, that is a scholarship that is sponsored by the U.S. Department of State. And we are here to learn more about United States, Pensacola, and of course, leadership skills.
Okay.
And Maria is going to tell you more about it.
The program starts here in Pensacola, and this program is to learn more about leadership skills, community service, and to exchange our culture with the community. Then we are going to Washington, D.C. to learn more about U.S. history and to see how the government works in Washington.
To finish this program, we have to presentate projects for our communities to help them, and each of us have to presentate them in Washington, D.C. That is the final, final state. And we are going to stay here in Pensacola till Wednesday, and then we are going to D.C.
We are here. We want to make a change, a positive change in the world, and it's important to us to make the youth's voice heard. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Maria, and thank you, Eden, for bringing those over, the guests over. And just for anyone listening, there may be 12 or 14 folks, 15, 16 here, and I will speak to my colleague that's been with me for a while on the dais. We've had some of these youth ambassadors over a number of times over the years. Sometimes the meetings have been a bit contentious and embarrassing. Hopefully that's not what these young people will see today.
Well,
Some of them I would just assume folks have not been here for, but today maybe will be okay.
if they didn't know their identity, they learned it in public forum today.
That's right. That's right. Everybody has a right to speak.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Board, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the proclamations A through D. Thank you.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please vote. Proclamations pass 3-0. Mr. Administrator, the proclamation declaring 2024 as Purchasing Month.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll ask Lindsay and her group to come on up. This is the Office of Procurement. Extremely proud of these folks. What a turnaround we've had. I met with them last Tuesday afternoon. There's a lot of work being driven out. There's a lot of work still coming forward on some future agendas, a lot of big projects. They've done a fantastic job turning this department around, division around. I'm extremely proud of them. Over $100 million worth of work went out the door last year. That was fantastic. Our purchase orders are about 1,500 to 1,600 so far this year since October the 1st, and that's fantastic as well. So we want to recognize them this morning. It says, whereas purchasing professionals play a significant role in the efficient and effective operations of both government and business, and whereas the Escambia County Office of Purchasing is responsible for the acquisition of equipment, materials, supplies, and services vital to the operations, facilities, and infrastructure that contribute to the high quality of life of all county residents.
The Office of Purchasing adds value to the procurement process by re-engineering, developing, and implementing innovative, unique, efficient, and cost-effective procurement practices. And whereas purchasing professionals are tasked with executing and implementing contracts, developing and improving tactical procurement strategies, and cultivating great working relationships with the vendors and all county departments. And whereas the public procurement professionals working for Escambia County, Florida are responsible for complying with county ordinances, state statutes, and federal regulations for purchases totaling hundreds of millions of dollars per year. And whereas whenever called upon, government procurement professionals work in pressing conditions to meet challenges and secure materials, resources, and personal protective equipment for frontline workers, contributing to the county's rapid response to the needs of its citizens. And whereas the Escambia County Office of Purchasing is a member of the National Institute for Governmental Procurement, the NIGP recognizes, supports, and practices the public procurement values and guiding principles of accountability, ethics, impartiality, professionalism, service, transparency. And whereas the Central Gulf Coast chapter of the NIGP selected Lindsay Stevens, Interim Purchasing Director, as the 2023 Manager of the Year, and Abigail Raymond as the 2023 Specialist of the Year. These accomplishments serve as a reflection of the outstanding performance displayed by the Escambia County Office of Purchasing. And whereas the observances of Purchasing Month, the NIGP seeks to further expand the awareness of the procurement professional role to governmental officials, the general public, and corporate leaders. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida hereby proclaim the month of March 2024 as Purchasing Month in Escambia County, Florida, and urges residents to recognize and honor the ongoing contributions of America's purchasing professionals to the betterment of our community and the nation. Stephen Berry, Chairman, District 5, Jeff Bergasse, District 1, Michael Carlo, District 2, Lumen J. May, District 3. Give him a hand, please.
I feel like I've spoken to you guys more in the last couple of weeks than I have in the 2 years I've been here. I just want to say thank you, and big things are coming from purchasing, and I could not be more proud of my team.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Lindsay. All right, Board. We also ratified the proclamation extending the heartfelt congratulations to Mrs. Lee Bernice Purvis on her 101st birthday, and wishing her continued health and happiness in the years to come. Ratified the proclamation celebrating the fruitful life of Mrs. Bertha Lee Baines Griffin as she reaches 100 years of age, and ratified the proclamation commending and congratulating Pastor Michael A. Thompson, Sr. for 16 years of faithful stewardship and pastoral ministry at Greater Union Baptist Church. Madam Counsel, written communication?
Yes. Commissioners, I do actually need a vote on the written communication. This is a request from the school board. They have appropriately followed the statute to ask for ballot placement for a renewal of their half-cent sales tax. And I do see this as a ministerial function on your behalf. If you guys can vote on this today, we can make sure that the Supervisor of Elections is notified for placement in the November general election ballot.
Super. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I've served on the half-cents watchdog committee for about 10 years with Alvin Wingate, and obviously we're going to be supportive. We just hope that as we put this on the ballot, that the schools in District 3, particularly Pensacola High School, we've had this tax and we're putting it on the ballot, and it's not just administrative because we do have the ability today to not put it on the ballot if we so desire, but the conditions of the schools in District 3, particularly the locker rooms at Pensacola High School, is just really unacceptable. And so I hope that our friends over at the school board recognizes that, you know, we're being supportive of putting this on there, but also cognitive enough to understand the importance of equal distribution of these funds throughout all 5 districts for our school. So I just want to be on record with that, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Because that is of concern with me, and I know it's of concern with some other people, particularly Pensacola High School.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a comment on this too, because I know, Madam Attorney, it seems administrative, but it is putting a tax on the ballot. And the only reason I'm
Well,
supporting.
it could not be administrative because we could make a motion to not put it on there right now.
Well,
Yeah.
but the voters can decide if they want it. or
Yeah, they can
not.
bring it back,
And
so,
So
yeah.
I'll support it in that aspect, but if the folks in Escambia County don't want it, they won't approve it. So I'll make a motion to move it forward.
Oh, I'm very supportive of it as a SIG caller, because I served on the Watchdog Committee from its inception, but I do know that there are some needs, in particularly the inner city schools that really need some attention, and we have a new superintendent. I'm sure that he's going to address that. I mean, equally, the millions that have been, quite frankly, it's in your district. There's millions that have been put into Warrenton Middle School for that improvement. But, quite frankly, I mean, because it's charter, but there's still other kids that are hurting that got to get to Warrenton Middle. And so we got the same amount of money that we're putting in capital outlay for Warrenton, we need to be putting it in Lincoln Park. Lincoln Park is a horrible place for a child to have to go to school, and now we're talking about closing. I mean, they can't even go to the bathroom. Kids can't, the football players, they want a decent football team at PHS, but they can't take showers. So, I mean, that's problematic. So with that, I will second it.
All right, super. Please vote. Item passes 3-0. Thank you, Madam Council. Did the clerk's office receive proof of publication?
Mr. Chairman, the clerk's office has received all proofs.
Thank you. I entertain a motion to waive the reading of the
So
advertisement.
moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Please vote. Waiving the reading passes 3-0. 9:01 public hearing. All right, our first speaker is going to be in which? Okay, all right. Board, we have no speakers on the 9:01.
If there are no speakers, I move the item in the affirmative, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Please vote. Item passes 3-0. Madam Clerk?
Sure, thank you. We have 4 items on the consent agenda. The first one is the acceptance of the annual comprehensive financial report. Pleased to report that that is an unmodified opinion, so that means that is a clean report. As you probably know, a financial report is more on the accuracy and timeliness and our documentation of how we do financial transactions. This isn't an operational audit, nor is it a fraud audit. There is some comments that I think the board can address either directly or through your staff, but that's within the report for you to address. The second is the TDT collection report that we received in February, so it's January's stay. There's a decrease in that revenue by about 7%. The third is documents that have been provided to us, and the fourth is minutes and reports that have been prepared by us. Thank you.
Super. Entertain a motion for the clerk's report. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Please vote. Clerk's report passes 3-0. Thank you. Horace?
Yes, sir. Today, we're going to ask Mr. Andrew Homer, the Deputy Director of Development Services, to facilitate the GMI report this morning.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Morning,
Yep.
Commissioners.
Good morning.
The item we've got here is our compatible use study. This has been conducted between the Navy, our contractor, and the county over the past few years. This is an update to our 2003 joint land use study, which produced the regulations we currently have regarding compatibility around the airfield. Because this is an update, we're not asking for an adoption of the study itself. There are some recommendations that come with this of things that we can do to supplement all the good things we're currently doing with our Navy partners. Those items also include things that are outside the scope of the BCC involving other boards, which is part of the reason we're saying we're not asking for an adoption of this. We don't want to hold someone else to something. Some of the recommendations are things that we are going to bring forward through the planning board with some tweaks we can make to our rules, with a few changes that have come about in all those years since we did the original study. These would all be things that are going to be enhancements to the rules we have regarding compatibility with the base's mission. This whole study was a result of a grant we got from the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation, and my bringing it to the board for presentation that we are
finish the study is one of the last things I need to do to go ahead and close out that grant.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, obviously, I've been knee-deep in this study more
Yes,
than
sir.
anybody. And these kind of things concern me. I want this on the record. And I do agree you've done a lot of changes, but the public opinion on this study was minimal. The policy committee, they couldn't provide minutes. I know the handful of people, you, Chips, Tim, Steve, Admiral Quinn, and myself were the only people that made any comments on the study. Multiple areas of the study was more of a consolidation hit than the improvements. But with that said, I moved forward with the Defense Health Resilience, and we sent a lot of stuff up from the county, all the good things we've done. The schools, they definitely persecuted us on. But from the county side, we cleaned up Chiefs Way. You know, the TPO moved forward with the design on the front base. We did Old Quarry. Some of the ACAS stuff that was in there. We're working on the blight. But this study concerned me because I was part of the CONUS study where they closed the Navy hospital down. And so when we do these kind of studies, I think it's very, very important we take them serious because consolidation does happen. I could talk the next hour about it, how it's happened in the DOD in my 33 years. So I would not vote for this, but if it's just an update, I appreciate it, Drew, and I appreciate all the work that you did.
Thank you.
But this study definitely concerned me. A year ago, the News Journal put out this article, One Storm Away from Losing the Blues, and they're right. And so we need to collectively on this board, that base brings in over $6 billion for this county. It's not just in District 2, it's over 45% of our economy. There's no way that it doesn't affect everyone in Escambia County. So this consolidation, compatibility utilization study, I want to do all the things that we can in it because I think it's important and we highlight it. And I appreciate the work, Drew, and I don't want to be overcritical, but it's very concerning to me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And second, your action item?
Yes,
Just
sir.
scheduling a meeting.
That was it.
From a scheduling,
Yeah,
okay.
sorry. The other item is our consent agenda.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion for the consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a second? Thank you. Please vote. Scheduling the consent agenda passes 3-0. Mr. Administrator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 11 items on the technical public service consent agenda. Please make the following change. Drop CAR 1-4, the recommendation concerning MOU with the Northwest Florida Health Network for the Fatherhood Initiative Program.
All right, entertain a motion for the balance. Thank you. Thank you. Please vote. Technical and public service consent passes 3-0. Mr. Administrator?
There are 50 items on the budget finance consent agenda. Please make the following change. Drop CAR 2-3, the issuance of FY 23-24 purchase orders for natural resources. Hold for speakers, CAR 2-32 and 2-20.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. I entertain a motion for the balance. I want to, before we move that and pass it, I want to recognize two of my folks from Cantonment Improvement Committee that are in the audience, TJ and Josh. Thank y'all for being down here and, happy to be moving forward with the community center in Cantonment. And also very happy to be moving forward with the widening and improvements of West Roberts Road there in southern Cantonment and Gonzales. But entertain a motion for the balance.
Mr. Chairman, I'll
Yeah.
move it, and I want to offer, and I met with Josh, and, we represent a lot of the city, so we're big on community centers, and I think community centers save lives. I just think that they're the lifeline of a community. And if there's anything I can do to help from District 3 with anything that you're doing in that community center, let me know. I'm
Thank you.
happy to do it. And
Just keep it up. I appreciate your support. Thank you.
good job, Josh. I'm glad to help, and thank you for reaching out.
All right.
I hope you get everything you want out of it. With that, I'll move it, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Please vote. Budget and Finance passes 3-0. Mr. Administrator?
CAR 2-20, we have a speaker, Larry Downs Jr.
Okay.
Hello, Larry Downs Jr. This is just more money, I'm assuming, for books. Hold on, I was waiting on a response. Hold on a second here, let me pull it up. So this ProQuest, I'm assuming is going to be receiving $9,520.50. That 50 cents it's it's needed. Anyways, this is for a, it's ProQuest offers libraries a number of careful, curated subscriptions to serve researchers of all types. All our subscriptions offer unlimited multi-user access and continued growth and are delivered on the eBook Central platform built for research. I didn't think they wanted us doing research. Don't do your own research. Just listen to the experts. So anyways, that's a little bit of a conundrum. Public Library Complete offers more than 37,400 diverse ebooks to educate, entertain, and enlighten. I mean, I don't know what all we're paying for here because I didn't have time to research it. It just kind of looked, odd, the exact amount of money that we're going to be paying them. And of course, I question everything that our government pays for, promotes. It's similar to propaganda. I mean, and I'm sure these books that are going to enlighten, I don't know if y'all know it or not, but boys and men for thousands of years, maybe millions of years, they built shit, they maintained it, they farmed it, they gathered, they hunted. They didn't sit all day long in a classroom or a library. They didn't. They outdoors in the sun doing man shit. That's how they became, very, very productive. Now we seem to have a whole lot of weak males. Instead of that old group, boys to men, now it's boys to males. They're stuck in male purgatory. Now, I know this reading here, y'all. Read. But don't read the stuff about the vaccines. Don't read that. Isn't that weird? The propaganda. It's off the chain. Stop paying for it. I'm sick of it.
All right. Thank you. Entertain a motion. Thank you. Please vote. Item passes 3-0, Mr. Administrator.
We have speakers for car 2-32. First will be Chris Kerb.
Good morning, Chris Kerb with Flood Defenders. I rise in support of the Renee Terrace project. Ms. Tilney's back here too. She's going to speak on it. She's one of our flood defenders that got my attention. I guess I've been doing flood defenders for 3 years, so 2.5 years, maybe. But she was telling me about her neighbor that had 2 foot of water in their house. So I'm glad to see this project finally going to construction. I've been following it the whole time. I've been out to a couple of meetings with the engineering department when they were developing the design. So I'm glad to see this come through. Did y'all know the Department of Homeland Security, natural disasters, 90% of our natural disasters involve flooding? That's a big statistic there. A lot of these flood defender neighborhoods that I push up here to the commission and Santa Rosa County as well, each one of these has specific issues and resolutions and solutions. Some of them are actually buyouts. I noticed something on your CAR 46, CAR 2-46, American Rescue Plan, putting in $6.8 million towards stormwater. That's awesome. That's, I like to think that, maybe us coming up here, flood defenders coming up here, trying to influence y'all to put more money toward drainage is making a difference. So I'm really happy about that, especially with Bayou Marcus Basin Study, $1.5 million toward that. I didn't sign up for that, but I wanted to go ahead and put kudos for the engineering department on that particular project. And I also wanted to mention the Windsong Surrey project that just completed construction. That was another flood defender neighborhood. They didn't do everything we really wanted to do, but it is a major improvement, which Tommy Thomason, he's been up here. It will help his flooding issues out there. But I just wanted to rise in support today of all this drainage work that's going on by the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Entertain a motion.
I've got one more speaker.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Shirley Tilney.
Sorry.
I just want to thank you for helping to push this through and get it done as quickly as can. And I'm sure you're not used to hearing someone say, I will be happy when you start tearing up my front and side yard with the construction equipment.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to having this done. It will help the entire area because we've had so many water and flooding issues over about 12 years or more that I know of. I don't know what happened before that. But anyway, thank you. I appreciate it. And I saw the purchasing department left. I was hoping to tell them to push it up to the top of their list. But anyway, thank you so much. We are really appreciative, and we're looking forward to getting this started.
Thank you. Thank you, Shirley. Right below my stuff. But yes, we'll get it to the top of the list other than that. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, if I can just make a comment on
please.
246. There's very few things that we can do up here that actually change insurance rates or fund the sheriff's department, but more stormwater drainage can help. And I know we all get told regularly that the insurance rates are too high, the state needs to do more. It's projects like this that affect that throughout the county. And I think the board's doing a great thing by doing the stormwater drainage across the county. So I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Commissioner May, is there a second?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You're all I have, so that's why I got to
Well,
specifically
I'm trying to do the
call
best
on
I
you.
can.
I understand.
The ADH is kicking in. I'm sorry.
I understand. Please vote.
Yeah.
Item passes 3-0. Mr. Administrator.
Mr. Chairman, for discussion item this morning, we have.
Wes, can I just ask one quick question for you?
Sure.
And it's already passed. It's the number 33, the interlocal with Gulf Breeze. So, and I guess it's Wayside. I guess we're doing that out of tourist development dollars, or LOST, and does the city of Pensacola contribute anything to that? I mean,
This is not Wayside Park, this is going to be Vista Park.
where's Vista Park?
It's right at the foot of the Bob Sykes Bridge as you going up, right before you go over the Bob Sykes Bridge onto the beach. It's right there on the right-hand side.
Oh, so that's clearly Gulf Breeze. Mm-hmm. And
Yes.
we just, okay.
We may could get some money from the city. As you mentioned, Alex is in the audience and may not be future mayor. I believe he's acting mayor today with the current mayor out of pocket. So I think he's got some authority, maybe.
Well, even when he doesn't think that he's acting mayor. I mean, yeah. He is. But, I mean, it would be a good conversation. I think there is some mutual benefit, Mr. Chairman, for the city as well as Gulf Breeze.
Absolutely.
And that we will be footing that. So
That's a fine idea. Yep.
maybe the acting mayor could tell the out-of-town mayor.
He probably comes with funding authority, with funding authority of some sort, some level.
Well, maybe he can make a commitment today.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, Wes.
Discussion item is to discuss the Old Baptist Hospital campus and a possible MOU with the city.
All right, thank you. Board.
Well, the acting mayor is probably here to ask for money, Mr. Chairman, rather than we get money from him.
Oh.
Mr. Chairman, I did ask for this to be on the agenda, and I do see the CEO of Baptist, Mark Faulkner, here, as well as Alex, and I probably would have them both to give us an update, and I think that we do have representatives from Representative Andrade's office here. Obviously, the move of Baptist Hospital from the west side of the heart of my district was something that was, difficult for us. It's 50-plus acres in the heart of Pensacola, the connectivity to North Hill, to the county, to the city. There's been significant effort by the legislators, by Senator Broxton, Representative Andrade, and I do believe by Representative Salzman, to secure some funds from the state legislative contingent on some local match. I think that the city is contributing, and Baptist is contributing, and they're coming to ask for some help in terms of, the city's coming to ask for some help in terms of the acquisition. So with that, I would just, would call Mark and Alex up. I don't know if anybody from Andrade's office to kind of give us an update in where we are. Mr. Faulkner?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll go first, if that's all right with you, Mark. So just an update from the state legislature. So the legislature passed the budget last Friday or 2 Fridays ago with $7 million from the state for the property. So with that, we have $7 million from the state, the $2.9 from the sale of Paces. The tax credit goes through a $3 million commitment from Baptist and a $1 million commitment from the city. So that's kind of where the funding stands. And I know, Commissioner May, we appreciate you being able to come on the tour of New Orleans, to kind of get a vision for what we hope can happen at the Baptist campus, going forward. So, appreciate any support. I know the mayor's asked $2 million from the county, so looking forward to the discussion and answering any questions y'all have.
Alex, the 2.9 from the Paces sale, how conditional is that?
So they just opened the Florida Housing Finance just released their RFA for the Hurricane Sally CBDG money for the tax credit project. So they have until May to submit, but we've been told that priority will be given to previously funded projects previously submitted that haven't been funded. So Paces feels pretty confident that they'll be very competitive this cycle for that tax credit.
And I guess, Alex, I've had a lot of conversation with DC on this project. If it comes underfunded, under budget, we would pro rata get our money back, or how would that work? Who would be the first, since it's a city-led project, who would be the first to receive the funds back?
I think that's a great discussion to have with the mayor, and I think he'd be open to having that discussion further with you. I know he hasn't had that discussion yet, been focused on getting the money, but I think that's definitely a reasonable request of the mayor.
Okay. Well, I'm sure my colleagues will have more questions, Alex, and thank you for your leadership.
Mike?
Yeah, thanks. Hey, Mark, thanks for coming. I had a little bit of a conversation with you before because, I was on the Health Authority and this plan wasn't there, and you clarified a few things for me. I do think that this could be a good program, but I do believe that the county should be the first to get the money back. If it is under $16 million, I think that's right. We don't know the actual cost for the demolition, right?
That's correct. It has not been formally submitted for bid yet.
And Mike, I will tell you, I'm not, a lot of people are committed that it has to all be demoed. That's not my position. I think there could be some reuse of some of the facilities that are there, in my opinion.
We don't, Mark, we talked about that earlier. We don't believe that can happen unless it's in the healthcare world, right?
There are restrictions when the most recent edition of Baptist Hospital, the Legacy Campus, back in 2012. That was funded through a bond issue in 2010. That bond issue continues forward, and there are restrictions on any adaptive reuse, such that essentially that reuse has to be substantially similar to the current mission of Baptist Hospital. So those are the constraints that we would all have to abide within on any consideration of reuse.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Mike, there's not an urgent care in my neighborhood. There's not health care nowhere near anywhere around there. So I think there's going to be a possibility or a path to kind of figure out some type of urgent care, community care, medical care in that district. It's a high priority.
Right.
And so that doesn't change the scope of the use.
If you could do that, and I agree that I think that would definitely be within what you can do. My concern, and I'm very supportive of all the hospitals, but this is an abatement program funded by the state, the county, and the city. And maybe it's the right thing to do for blight, but it's an abatement. We don't normally do that, allow that without the county having some sort of lien on a property or some payback. I guess, how did we get to the numbers that the county paid $2 million? How did that come about? I don't even know where we got to that.
We at Baptist have committed to, through the sale of the 11 acres to Paces, to forward those proceeds to the city to help with that financial stack to get to the $16.5 million of projected demolition cost. We approached the state as they were entering session to consider an appropriation that would also go to the demolition and the abatement as well. And it was in those discussions that they recognized, with the city's leadership, their interest in participating, that could this be basically equal partners. Baptist contributing $6 million in total, city, county contributing, and then the state. And again, As Alex pointed out, they came through with a $7 million appropriation. Assuming that makes it through the governor's veto, then that would be available to this funding stack. So it's a public-private partnership. It's not just the city and the county, and the state certainly, Baptist has skin in the game as well.
Yeah, thanks for that. How did we get to $2 million for us? I still don't know the answer, Mark, and it may not be you.
Yeah.
Alex, do you know it?
That was the conversation that the mayor had. He said the city and county coming together at 3, 1, and 2. The city kind of took the lead on the legislative stuff and using political capital with Senator Broxton, made a lot of trips over to Tallahassee. So that was kind of the agreement that the mayor had brought forward, was $2 million from the county, and then the city would kind of, since it's in the city, and then the city would take over, the redevelopment and managing that project as well. There's some cost to us from there. So we'll put $1 million towards the project. The county does too, and then y'all come along as a partner, but you don't take the lead and use the political capital and all that in Tallahassee.
All right, so we abate the property, and do we have any interest at this point with the developer that you can even say? Or I know we can't commit, but where do we go after if we actually do this?
That's a great question. I mean, right now we haven't had really any conversations with developers. We've been focused on, we've been told that most of the buildings need to come down before developers are interested. I know Erica Grant Cagnolo's here, and she's been having, we've gotten a few phone calls from interested parties, but nothing, very serious, LOI or anything like that. So just, been focused on getting this part of the process done and then looking towards that next part.
All right, one more question. Is there a timeline on these funds to get this done so we don't lose any of this money from the state?
State appropriations are usually good for a year, but we can have some conversations with the governor's office and appropriators about, potentially extending. But we feel confident we'll be able to use the state money within a year.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I just want to have complete transparency on what we're doing.
All right, Board, we do have a speaker that signed up, Larry Downs Jr. And Larry, please refrain from any profanity. If you use it again, I'm going to stop your time. Okay? You understand?
Are you the dictator of words?
I am controlling this meeting, yes. So if you use profanity, your time will stop and you'll be escorted out. Thank you.
Okay, we may have to have a meeting on that at some point, so I'll know what words you deem inappropriate.
Your time is running.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't need much to point out the unlimited governance we have here. Dabbling in the real estate business again, public-private partnerships. God, how long is this going to go on? You got suits coming up here, suits going to D.C., suits going everywhere. No offense, suits. I'm just saying, this is more of our money that is going to public-private partnerships. Come on, we know what's really going on. I mean, let them handle their own property. Let them sell it. That's kind of the way a limited government works. We don't get involved with this and start taking tax dollars to fund private ventures, which is what this is. All along the way. I mean, affordable housing. Come on, the government gets involved. Do you think that makes it affordable? Not unless you use a dictatorship. Write it down. This is what you people are going to pay for to make it affordable. It's just silly. It's almost getting sickening. They made a bunch of money on COVID. I mean, a bunch of money. I mean, free this, free that. Get paid for every person that tested positive. Oh, let's enroll them now. That's another freaking 5, 10, 20 grand. Death certificates labeled COVID. All that's money, money, money. The biggest scam that ever hit this country. And y'all are engaging in more of it right here. We went from $21 trillion in debt, this country, to $32 trillion almost overnight. And here they are up here. I don't even know these guys, don't have a clue. But I watched them come up here. I watched the CEOs, the presidents of the Baptist, West Florida, Sacred. I watched all the hospitals come up here and say, we need money. COVID, COVID, COVID. We need money. Give us that Corona CARES Act money. Give us that new, the new free fairy dust. Sprinkle it on us some more. I I mean, y'all paid, how much money did y'all pay to get people with the free injections, chemical injections that are somehow 6 of them will save you from the COVID boogeyman? Now, we're gonna engage more of our money? I mean, I don't even, it's sad. And you know it, Barry. I can see it on your face. You know it. You're all part of it. And I'm not being mean. I'm just pointing out the obvious. MissionObvious.com.
Thank you. All right, board, back to our discussion. What's the, I mean, it's a discussion item. It doesn't have necessarily, doesn't necessarily have an ask. What's the intent of the board, or what's the will, the wishes?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would move to allow the attorney and the administrator to work out the details with the mayor's office and to, bring it back for final ratification by this board.
For us allocating $2 million towards it?
Correct.
Okay. And that would only be, I mean, is that contingent upon proceeds coming from Baptist sale of property? I mean, I don't.
Right, I mean, I
don't
don't
care if
know.
they sell property or not. I mean, they figure out how to put money in for their contribution.
I mean, I don't know all the conditions and the commitment. I know Commissioner Kohler, and certainly, I know he serves on the health facilities and obviously is more knowledgeable about the financing side than I am. Just to figure out the formula and the conditions, I mean, we can bring that back with more clarification, but at least we're moving forward with the project.
So conceptually allocating $2 million towards it.
Right.
With the conditions of the actual
That would
award
be my
coming
thought.
back. Okay. That's, all right.
I mean, I know there are some things in terms of the pay, and Alex, you may address it. When will Paces know whether or not they're going to sell or we're going to receive those funds? I mean, what's our critical path, our timetable?
We don't have a clear timetable on that. We know the application is due in early May, so we hope to hear, June, July around Paces, but we don't have a clear timetable on that. We've been trying to chase that down, but there's been some delays from the state in getting that RFP out.
Right. And I know we got other issues on the agenda today about CRAs. I think this connects the city CRA and the county CRA, Steve. And obviously, what's critical for me is the amount of gentrification and affordable housing that's happened. And so, a part of my support is certainly going to be conditional on that we absolutely do what we said that we're going to do for affordable housing in Blight, in that neighborhood. Of that Baptist neighborhood, because even though we've weeded and we've seeded and we've done all these infill programs, if you walk the Alphabet Street, if you walk Morris Court, you definitely see that the characteristics and the demographics certainly have not represented the historical citizens who have lived there. And so I've had, informal conversation with the mayor of how important that is to me. And just as we've seen the other project, I see this as a huge redevelopment project. I'm not interested in, incentivizing to make developers rich, but I'm certainly very passionate about 54 acres in the heart of District 3 that's empty today when we ride by, and the longer we linger, the more blight that's going to occur. It's just a matter of time before that becomes an encampment or a hangout or vandalism in our district, which is, and Mike, I get where you are, but the amount of money that we're going to probably spend in enforcement and shootings and blight is probably in the long run going to outweigh, our capital outlay expense. So I would certainly move, Mr. Chairman, to conceptually to give staff a chance to work with Mark and DC and Alex to bring back something that we could ratify that all of you could feel comfortable with.
I have one more question for you.
Sure.
What's the plan if it goes over 16 million? Who's responsible?
Responsible for the other 16 million. And
Say it's 19 million. Who makes up the 3 million?
that's a conversation I think the mayor would have with our, our partners that have come forward with this already. We're committed to trying to make this work, and we hope it's 16 million. But if it's over, the mayor's committed to trying to find more money and making sure we can make this happen.
Okay, I definitely think that the county has to have some protections on this, because this could this could, you never know. I wish we had an appraisal. I don't know why we can't figure out how much it would be to, within maybe $1 million or $2 million to demolish it. And also,
Well, I think, Mark, I mean, there's been estimates, right? I mean, there's been studies after studies on this facility.
That's correct. There have been estimates, talking to engineers that are in this field, but it has not been submitted through a formal RFP process. That would be the city's responsibility. And the 16.5 million was the estimation at that time.
okay. Thank you, Mark.
And Mike, and I get it. I hear you say, redaptive use of what it costs. And I'm not an engineer, but I am a builder, and I've been restoring buildings my entire life. I mean, that's what my father was known for, actually, on that Baptist Hospital campus, for restoring buildings. I'm not convinced that everything needs to be tore down. And, unfortunately, the disparities that happen in healthcare, if there's not any public input, there's not going to be a healthcare facility because it's not going to make sense to these developers. And I'm all good for affordable housing and getting there in the long run. But let me just tell you, I got people in Addis Court, in Morris Court, in Shantytown that right now cannot get health care. I mean, just they're primary care providers. They're having to go to community health. There's not an urgent care. I mean, you get hurt at Fricker Center or you get hurt at Legion Field, you break your leg. You got to get out to Baptist or you got to get out to Sacred Heart. Or if you just have a cold in the middle of the night, there's not an urgent care in our neighborhood. And so, my big incentive for supporting the caveat and the condition is going to be some type of health care. It has existed. The health care for the African American community has existed over there for almost 50 or 60 years. And just for a history, you'll know, people like my dad donated money every Sunday to build Baptist Hospital when we had University Hospital. That the county provide, and on Leonard Street, where we now have the jail, is the only hospital that poor people and people of color could go until black ministers put together money at Baptist to make sure that their children had the opportunity to good health care. And we can't abandon that. I think Mark's on board with that in some ways. I know Community Health is on board. At some point, we have to get some type of health care in that neighborhood.
I totally get it. I trained there. Gloria Ford was my preceptor, black female nurse. I'm still friends with her. Trained at all the hospitals. Actually, at university, did mental health there. Actually, have taught nurses all over this county trauma nursing. I definitely agree with the urgent care or health care. You could go to Beach Haven, I could say the same argument.
Oh, I agree.
So.
But I mean, and you have people in Brownsville, you have people off Gulf Beach Highway that need to get there as well. Right. I mean, transportation is an issue. I mean, for poor people. I mean, it's a big issue.
Time to treat's real, and people die the farther they're away from health care because you can't get to them soon enough.
2 or 3 minutes saves lives, as we know.
I guess and my final thoughts is that I guess if legal's going to go back, I'd just like to, when we come back, to see what the right and left limits is for the county to kind of protect us. I would like us, if it's under 16 million, to get our money back first. I think, I think that's a reasonable request. And, I'll more than likely be supported, Mark, because I believe in the system, and but I do think that we have to have some protections if it goes over for the county.
All right. Commissioner, is that a second to Commissioner May's motion? All right. Please vote. Item passes 3-0. Thank you, Mr. Administrator.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks, Alex.
Madam Counsel.
Thank you, sir. There are 2 items on the county attorney's report. I need 2 separate votes on these items. The first item is scheduling a shade meeting for April the 4th.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Please vote. Item passes 3-0. All right, Board, we have a speaker on the second item. I'm sorry.
While she's coming up, there is additional backup
What
that was
now?
just.
I'm sorry.
There is additional backup that was
Madam Counsel, one
provided in
second.
the last
Madam Counsel,
republish.
I apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, I saw the new speaker. I thought it was on the second item. Larry Downs Jr., please speak. It was on the scheduling of the meeting.
Larry Downs Jr., you sounded excited to say that. Larry Downs Jr. All right. Anyways, y'all should check out my comedy on YouTube, Larry for Real. I think this is that one that sued Melissa a whole bunch of rigmarole was going over this, this medical doctor back then, and I'm assuming y'all are going to be discussing, you know, her suing y'all and how to pay her off. I'm just guessing. I don't know for sure. I don't have a clue, but the shade meeting should get, you know, it should shed some light on it. I'm pretty sure. You know, that's the point in the shade meeting, right? Get it in the shade, bring some light. So figure out how everybody messed up so bad, and how you know, it's just it's weird how it all took place. And then of course she sued Melissa, and you know, I mean y'all know me and Melissa get along like go together like oil and water, but you know, I still thought it was very weird, all of it. And you know, I'm assuming y'all are going to get together to try to figure out how to settle this without, you know, and maybe even keep it on the hush-hush once you settle it, so that the people don't know maybe even how much for however long. It's interesting. So, you know, and I just got my time to talk about the public business. This is public business, so it's kind of interesting, you know. Bet y'all kind of missing Doug Ugnerhill about now, huh? I mean, I think he even told y'all she was going to sue the county. If I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I just figured that that something would, you know, take place, and it's going to cost us more money. So the decisions y'all make in the shade meeting and up here and in general, we have to pay for. So I'm just encouraging the people when they go to the ballot box to not listen to the propaganda, you know, the promises, all the promises. We're going to give you lights in your neighborhood. We're going to give special treatment to certain skin tones, and I'm real concerned about them. You know, that's what this is, special treatment. And y'all got to settle this. And I expect y'all to settle it with the least amount of my tax dollars having to fund it. Thank you, Mr. Berry.
Thank you. All right, Madam Attorney. All right, Board, we're going to take a 3-minute comfort break, and we'll reconvene for the County Attorney's second item.
wouldn't really want.
All right. Thank you for that time. The board's going to reconvene action. Madam Counsel, we're on your second item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the item number 2, this is the issue regarding the CRA TIF payments from the Escambia Children's Trust. Our recommendation is here before you, A, B, and C. There was additional backup provided that came in late yesterday afternoon from the Children's Trust Executive Director asking that the county waive or vote to waive the CRA TIF payments. I would recommend that if the board is inclined to vote for A, B, and C, that's in the recommendation here, that you also make a motion to reject the request for the waiver from the Children's Trust, or the board, of course, can use its discretion to vote in favor of the waiver, in which case you would not be going along with A, B, and C.
Madam Counsel, do we have to take action on their request? I don't see why we have to. I don't see why we would have to act on that. And forgive me for not asking you that earlier.
You don't have to take action on their request.
Yeah.
We can proceed with A, B, and C. I see that it looks like they have representation
Well,
here.
and they both signed up to speak. I mean, I would say allow them to speak, and we take action. We don't have to respond to someone else's request. First speaker is Lindsay Cannon. I think by taking A, B, and C, we're affirming that the board expects to be paid. Hi, good morning.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, I'm a loud talker anyway, so I apologize. I'm less than 45 days in, so we're learning on the fly. We had a wonderful workshop last night discussing data concerning our community that affects all of your districts. I think that we have great representation of the commissioners on our board as well. So challenges and supports and funding that you need in your areas, I want to encourage us to have open conversation about that. I need to know. As someone that was a nonprofit executive director in this community and working in a lot of our really impoverished areas, I know the importance and the impactfulness of this money. So we ask you just to delay any decision related to this action item until we can formally address the exemption request.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Meredith Bush. Good morning.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Meredith Bush, 125 East Intendencia. I represent the trust and assisted in preparing the letter sent late yesterday. So statutorily, the board does have to take action on our request, although not today, but the statute requires that when an exemption request is filed, that a public hearing is held on that request to address the matters outlined in the exemption request. Because we just received the notice on Friday and provided our exemption request yesterday, we would simply ask that you delay action on item A, B, and C until such time as you've held the public hearing required on the exemption request. The statute requires that the programs within the CRA, that there be specific projects that benefit the purpose of the special district that you're taking the TIF funds from. And we've been through all of your redevelopment plans. Only the cantonment plan contains any projects or programs related to children. That may be one that we could agree to pay now. However, on the others, there's case law that's clear that a special district is not required to pay TIF funds when the redevelopment district does not benefit the purpose of that special district. The purpose of the special district of the Children's Trust is the provision of services for children. Currently, your plans do not contain the provision of services for children. So we would just ask that you take this into consideration, that we could avoid any further action by the trust on this, and hold a hearing on the exemption request as required by statute.
Thank you. Our board, we do have another speaker, Larry Downs, Jr.
Larry Downs Jr., just point out another obvious government overreach. I was against forming this from the beginning. And there's a lot of people who make a lot of money, who make money, and a lot of money, off of these type of boards and, government overreach. I think in general, every time that you have people on the payroll, there's going to be problems. So the less people, the less problems. The less government agencies, the less boards, the TDC board, this one here, Children's Trust Fund, the less of these things, the better. It just seems like a no-brainer. So anyways, do what you got to do. I know you will. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you. All right. Madam Council, okay, so I didn't necessarily understand that, so.
And yeah, I wanted that point of clarification too.
So what I would recommend, they've provided quite a bit of information, including some audit information. I am 100% comfortable that you can proceed with A, B, and C.
Okay.
And if it does appear, if that's what you wish to do, and if it does appear after digesting their information that we are obligated to schedule a public hearing to consider this, then we'll certainly get that scheduled and bring it back to you all.
Okay. All right.
Steve.
Yes, sir.
I see what's is there somebody from CRA that's here? I don't know what Clary is. Is there someone from, and certainly, full disclosure, I serve on the Children's Trust Board, and was there when, I think, doing an interview when Walker Wilson, I think, brought this forward in his interview. So it's of concern to me, but more concern, Steve, if we have a CRA plan, particularly in Brownsville and Inglewood, that's saying it's not addressing, and it's hard for me to conceive that the only CRA that has a youth component is Cantonment. That would be tough. I would love to get clarification on that. That's probably has nothing to do with A, B, and C, but
Yeah.
That's fundamentally a problem. If we're saying that it's only one CRA that's addressing delinquency, when we know where the 32501, 32503, we know where the delinquency in the crime is, and if that's not written into the plan, that's not good for whoever's writing the plan. That's very disappointing.
I entertain a motion for A, B, and C.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Yeah,
can
Mike,
make a comment?
sure.
I'm sorry. I agree with that, and I just want to say something. Children's stuff in this, I look at playgrounds and community centers and all the things that, Lexington Terrace is a great example of a blighted park that is in a poor community. Right, and same with Brownsville, and I've got 3 of those. And Parks and Recs is doing the best to do some of that, but it'd be nice to have some of this money that would help with the environmental focus of these areas. From what I understand, talking to Madam Attorney, this was an oversight we should have had previously and was neglected, right? We're in complete right to have this, get these funds from the Children's Trust Fund, right? That's what I thought. So you made the motion, Lumen, for A, B, and C? Did I? Okay. I'll make a motion to approve A, B, and C.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second it, but I still have some questions.
Sure. Yeah, and I don't think those, clearly nobody stood up in the audience, so I don't think those questions are going to be answered today, but
No,
I don't
you're
know
right.
that they address A, B, and C either, but.
Yeah, no merit to the well, but this is the first I've heard that, and so, we'll figure it out.
All right, please vote. A, B, and C of the county attorney's report passes 3-0. Madam Attorney?
That's all I have.
Thank you. All right, Board, we do have, and if you'll just kind of take this conversation and duly note it, Allison, and do what is necessary. Thank you. Adjourn.